This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1170. 1170. Wow. And it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Nashville, it's artist, producer, and mogul, Derek Miner.
What up, though?
And from LA, you know him from Social Club Misfits, it's Marty.
What's up, King?
It's no good.
You a Hebrew Israelite?
You snuck that in there.
Off, King. Sorry, I was on Black Twitter today watching the Apple Music Top 10. Everyone argue about it, so I just was kind of going off today. My bad.
What were they saying? What were they saying?
So, well, people are definitely upset that Kendrick's in the top 10.
Why?
For Good Kid, Mad City.
What?
Well, most people felt like it was the wrong Kendrick album for it.
Should have been To Pimp a Butterfly for sure.
A lot of people said To Pimp a Butterfly was it was just a different type of an impact. Yeah. And they felt like it was just a safe. Also, having Lauryn Hill as number one, they felt like that shouldn't have been a album. They felt like it should be top 10, but not number one. They thought it should be number Thriller. One? They thought it should go like this. This is how it is right now. It's Lauryn Hill at number one. I'm going 1 to 10. Lauryn Hill, Thriller, Abbey Road, Purple Rain, Blonde, Songs in the Key of Life, Good Kid, Mad City at 7, Back to Black, Amy Winehouse 8, Nevermind, Nirvana number 9, and then Lemonade number 10. They felt like the artists are correct, but the albums are not. So everyone was like, let me rearrange it. So everyone's rearranging it. Thriller being number 1, Abbey Road being number 2, Purple Rain being like 3. Actually, a lot of people thought Stevie Wonder should be 3.
Stevie Wonder 3 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, Lauryn, it was a great album, but it wasn't
it's only
like,
a one-off though. You know, like,
it wasn't
that's another
the iconic, like music changed after that sort of impact.
Yeah. And I don't think, and then I'll probably get hate for this, but I don't think Lemonade is a top 10 album either. I think it's a top 20 album. It's a good album, but yeah, I mean, interesting list. I mean, even Pet Shop from Beach Boys. I mean, that's like literally a classic album with every song being an iconic song. That should be top 10 in my opinion, but whatever.
It's tough with newer stuff like the last 10 years because we just don't know the long-term impact and legacy yet. I think I'm glad we're talking about lyrics because this sets up something I'm excited to tell y'all about.
Here it goes.
At the end of the show today, we have a game because it's not often that we have this mix, this lineup, the two of you, 2 artists and me. So the game today is how well do you know your own lyrics? And I'm going to play clips of your own songs.
We're not playing this song. We're not
yes,
playing
we
this
are.
game.
I have the clips loaded up.
This is not fair.
You know how many artists I've written for?
Do you know how many artists I've written for?
Yeah, me too.
You know how many songs I dropped?
I know.
Bro. This is about to be terrible.
I'm not pulling Social Club and I'm not pulling collaborations for you, Derek. This is a Derek Miner track or a Marty track.
I love it. Let's do it.
Right, let's get it.
I cannot wait for that. Also, we have a guest, Cuba Gooding Jr. You might have heard of him. He's coming up.
That's crazy.
He has a new album coming out he has a new movie coming out called The Firing Squad coming up at the end of the summer. So we can kind of get your first look at that movie.
That would be a hard album, though. The Fire Squad.
There you go.
So many questions I have for Cuba Gooding Jr. too. I wish I was a part of that interview.
I did tell Emily she's going to interview him about an hour after we tape this show. I did tell her at some point. I said I will send you $20. I will Venmo you $20 if at some point you work in there that he has to show you money. And
yeah, like that's for sure. By the way, was that a real picture of Emily with Zac Efron on her bedspread?
That's the family portrait. That's her brother.
That's not Zac Efron?
No, that was a 2009.
Didn't that look like some famous guy, like a boy band type dude?
She said that her brother in that era was very much going after the Zac Efron High School Musical.
I thought that
look.
was on first glance.
So, yeah. What he's talking about is a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about embarrassing stuff that your parents have at their house of you. And Emily and her brother and the whole family had a Penny's portrait session in 2009. And there was one picture of Emily and her brother that the kids, as a Christmas present, got turned into a blanket for the mom, right? So it's like a woven blanket of the photo.
White people activities for sure.
It's not screen printed, it's woven. And
This
it's
is
at
white
the
people
house.
activities.
It's at the
for
house
sure.
still. So she was telling me about it because she was working from her parents' house. And I was like, no, you can't tell me about this blanket and not show it to me. So she sent me a picture of it. So I
amazing.
tweeted
They still
it.
use it?
Right? Yeah,
They still
it's
use
out
it?
on the couch. It's like
Wow.
she said her mom, because they're all grown and they don't live at home anymore. She said her mom will fold the blanket just so the two faces are visible on the couch.
Imagine being like a kid and like bringing your girlfriend over and you're like kissing on the bed and then you look over and it's like your face with your sister and you're like, let's go to a different room.
That's what she says happened. She's like come home from college and her friends would see the Emily blanket, like they're watching a movie on the couch and they were all creeped out having to use the Emily and Matt blanket. But anyway, yeah. So I tweeted it.
I'm used to Mexican blankets with a wolf howling at the moon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different. It's like all white, like an all white wolf at a moon, and it's different over here in California.
And it's sold on like the roadside, and they set up for the
100%.
day.
You can't get it. You
There's
can't
like an
get this
Elvis
in
blanket.
stores, baby. Yeah. You can't. There's SpongeBob SquarePants with like
Always.
evil with some money. You know, like it's like how do you have these blankets?
Anyway, it's gonna be a great show. Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices.
Well, maybe not what you thought. But baby, it feels good to be understood. Maybe not what you thought. But forget your head and lean into your heart.
You're listening to Still Woozy. The song is All Your Life. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by The Grace Project, a compelling new novel by author Kyle Bullock. The story uncovers the details of a violent crime tied to a small-town church and the four members at the center of it all. Their lives collide as they confront weighty issues like racial equality, political divide, and LGBTQ inclusion through the lens of biblical grace. The Grace Project is perfect for individuals or small groups and is available now on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or download on Audible. Okay, it's time for...
Slices.
What do you have, Derek?
So, have y'all been watching the playoffs? I know. Me and Cameron have. I don't know about Marty.
I'm not good at that stuff. I was watching Miss Rachel last night where you guys were like, whoa! I was like, oh, man.
Man, so the crazy thing is, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about this, Cameron, but this is the best NBA playoffs I've seen in a while. Just in my opinion.
It's
really
been fun
enjoying
just
it.
because it's not the same old, you know?
That's what it is. It's not predictable. So I'm watching every player on the court. I'm not like, oh, we know Steph's going to do the thing. It's like you're watching people become stars, watching teams grab identities. And one of my favorite teams to watch has been the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, man, this dude, Ant-Man, like he's the second coming of Jordan, in my opinion. Like,
whoa,
the way he's moving, just the way he talks. It's the swagger though. Like he has that swagger that Jordan had, that confidence that you could just tell he knows, or he feels like he could win every game.
The one difference that I think he adds to that is he's funny. Like Jordan he has a mean and rude and whatever, and Ant-Man is going to talk trash and make fun of you and laugh in your face. You know what I mean? Like he's doing it with a smile and he's tearing you apart. But like Jordan was just mean.
Just right. He was just
so was Kobe a little bit. Kobe was like pushing his own teammate. It's like, what? We're friends.
Ant-Man is that's the thing I like about him. But the crazy part, their fan base, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a dope fan base. And it's crazy to watch them grow like this. They're so crazy that a tattoo artist said literally, the sixth man of the year is Nas Reed. Nas Reed has been winning some games for them. The tattoo artist says, for $20, I'm tattooing Nas Reed's name on as many people as possible. And
what?
So people are literally getting Nas Reed tattoos on them. So this guy, I'm trying to see who got the first one. His name is Jackson Hurst. got the first one. He says he has his mom's name, his dad's name, and now Nas Reed's name on his arm. And yeah, there's tons of people that are getting these tattoos for $20. And this tattoo artist is apparently pretty popular in Minnesota. So I think it's a combination of getting tattooed by that guy and the atmosphere of what's happening.
I can't imagine, some role player's name on my body for the rest of my life. But
it's not Jordan, it's not Steph Curry. It's
No.
6th man of the year.
well, I mean, because I showed you Drake has Steph and LeBron's numbers tattooed on his arm.
Yeah.
Which is just
He's
the
like, we're
lamest
all
thing
goats,
ever.
right? Right?
Yeah. Oh my
Right?
gosh. Yeah, but Nas Reed, that's funny to me. That's great. But those
hilarious.
fans, it's not about Nas Reed. It's about like I'm tattooing this season on me, and I'll tell this story for the rest of my life. That I appreciate. But
Absolutely.
the Nas Reed thing is hilarious.
It's a really cool thing. Yeah, it's super dope.
Yeah, if you guys aren't watching the NBA playoffs, it's fun because there's no predictable aging stars left.
Right.
All right, what do you have, Marty?
What's going on, guys? All right. This is my signature intro. I
love
know.
it.
Anyway,
It makes you smile.
go off, King. All right. So do you guys text and drive at all? I mean, I think we all do, right? I think we all could admit to doing this crime. You don't do it, Cam?
I do not because
I do not text and drive.
I am a multitasker by nature. I have 8 screens going on at all times. I'm and I did. And I decided when I became a dad, I got to get better at this. I got to protect my cargo. And so I have all the blocks on. I have the drive focus on my iPhone. And then I have like on my my Tesla, I don't have the things display, the messages coming in. It dings. I know somebody like messaged me and I'll check it later. I put the phone on the charger out of arm's length. You know what I mean? Like I have self boundaries or else I would. So I know me. So
I don't text and drive because I am a Christian and that is breaking the law.
All right. I mean, sometimes I'm literally on Instagram watching reels as I drive. But anyway,
why you look at me like that?
Some research. This article I want to talk about talks about how texting and driving is associated with psychopathic behavior. Psychopaths. There's this thing called the dark triad. Have you guys ever heard of something called the dark triad?
are you Terrence Howard?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't even want to get into that right now. I just can't. My mind can't physically handle what he's going on. This is actually an article from his website. Just kidding. But there's something called the dark triad, which is being studied right now. The dark triad is a mix of 3 personality traits that are the worst. One is narcissism, the second is Machiavellism, and the third is psychopathy. And basically, this article talks about how drivers who text and drive are known to have this triad inside of their personality somehow. Out of 1,000 drivers, 73% of them said that they admitted to texting and driving. But hence, I mean, this study was also done in Germany. I feel like if we were to interview people in America, I'd probably be in like the 90 percentile. Mm-hmm. But it's becoming a factor, and research is showing that if you could just do what Cameron said, put your phone aside, do not disturb, you are more likely to prevent accidents. It's a safer situation. But the idea is most people, when they're driving, they feel like they need to always be in the know. They always feel like they don't want life to move on without them. So that's why they're getting into the psychology of texting and driving, and how, drivers who do text and drive are like me sometimes. Because I think for me, it's different. Like maybe it's not different, but driving from LA to where I live, even though I'm like 25 miles, it's like a 2-hour drive, and it's traffic that's super slow. And either I have a sermon on by Tim Keller, I'm either have no music on at all, or I have reels and I'm just going and I drive and swipe up and I'm listening to reels on the road. But anyway, it might be a better strategy to not use your phone on the road. If you're listening to this, do not use your phone on the road. Prevent. Only you could prevent your family's death. I don't know how that ended. I was going to say forest fires. I just didn't end it. But yeah, texting and driver is really, it's really a pandemic situation. It's really, really bad. Don't do it. Protect your family. Precious cargo, like Cameron said. But yeah, don't be a psychopath and text and drive.
You know, they're now, if you get in an accident, like they're going to pull your phone records to see if you were texting.
I was always wondering if they could do that. That's really smart.
That's good.
Because they'll look at timestamps on your messages and stuff. And it's like, you're going to get prosecuted now. So it's
wow.
It's illegal. I mean, it is illegal.
Yeah. Well, some states it is. I know in California and Florida, it is illegal for sure. Is it in Nashville?
I'm a Christian.
Isn't it in Nashville though? You can't. It's illegally. You can't do it. You can drink and drive. You just can't text and drive in Nashville.
Tennessee's different, man. Because I mean, you could open carry a gun with no license. So
yeah,
I mean, that would be crazy. You could open
Florida's
carry
the
a gun,
same. We
but
can do that.
Yeah. So I would lean towards yes, it is illegal though. Honestly.
All right, I got a slice. This is interesting because it's artist stuff, but it's not music. So Apple TV Plus has announced. Or not announced, but they're in talks, and with other streaming companies, they're trying to like lead the charge here, where they're interested in shaking up the compensation model for their shows. What they're proposing is that talent, actors, other production staff would reportedly be paid based, at least partially, on how well the movie or show performs on the company's platform. So basically right now, there's a lot of complaints like Love is Blind, for example. You're starting to hear that like, I only got paid $3,000 and then it became the biggest show in the world, you know? And it's like the production company is like, sucks to be you, you know, like, oh, well, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. But now, now they're basically proposing a scale where you would get a base, you know, kind of a baseline salary for your role, your whatever. And then based on consumption, whether it be the number of people who signed up for the service to watch it, the number of hours it was watched, et cetera, you would be paid an escalating tier based on the success. On one hand, if I'm an actor, I don't control the script. I don't control the marketing. I'm not the DP. I'm not the editor. Like so much is out of my control, whether this is a good and successful show or not, that I don't know that that's fair for actors. But I was curious what y'all think about this, like a tiered performance review type pay scale. What do you think?
So would it be less? So are we saying, okay, like the Love is Blind people said they got $3,000.
They would agree to that number, and then they get bonuses if it's successful.
Well, if
like
they're only getting
bonuses.
that number, that's an upgrade for them, right? If it's like
like some it would only be an upgrade. It's only an upgrade. But I'm wondering if that means also now, like Kevin Costner's in negotiations for a new
you read
series,
my mind, Cam.
and he's going to only get offered 1.5 million, not instead of 8. 1.5 with a bunch of performance incentives.
There has to be exclusions for star talent. Like surely,
you're right.
It has to be.
Yeah, there have to be exclusions for star talent. Yeah.
There's an interview I was reading yesterday with James Gandolfini when he was doing Sopranos, where they only wanted to raise his salary because obviously he won Emmys and the show was so successful. They didn't want to give anybody else on the staff. So what he did was he negotiated like a huge salary increase and then just took that money and gave it to the staff. Because he felt like we're all part of this. We're all in this together. But it's true. Like this, my question is this: you know how like on some of those shows there are one or two people who are just stand out. So the crazier you get, the more you're going to get paid for standing out. Is that going to be a part of the scale? Because some people like No Neck Ed, you know, from 90 Day Fiance, No Neck Ed, who. He can't fold clothes because of his chin. Well, should he get more money then? And should some of the stars and some other people get paid less? I think it's a scary thought, but I do think that there is probably more money available for the actors and the people who are working. I just think that, you know, we all want our money. And so there's going to be a fight of that.
It feels like a win.
It sounds like a win.
Should be. I mean, hopefully, but
the only way it's not a win is if they say, okay, we're not going to pay you the $3,000 at all. It's just a tiered scale, right? So there's no fee. It's like getting paid on the back end.
You know what you're getting too when you sign up. You're getting a fee before you get in there, and you're kind of agreeing to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's acting scale. You know, there's minimums and stuff, and I just wonder how this would change things. Because, I mean, music is the same. I mean, you put all it out there and then you get paid based on how well it does.
The person who works the most on the record is going to get paid the most on the record.
Did you see, like, the more you learn about, like, how actors are paid, it's really shady. Like, you know, again, like if you who was it? She was in Bridesmaids. She became Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, Rebel. She has a new book out.
She said that she made negative dollars for Bridesmaids because she only got paid like $5,000 or $3,000 total. And then she had to put herself up in a hotel. She had to travel to the premiere, buy her own dress. And those 3 expenses cost more than she got paid for the movie. She's not lamenting it because it was an opportunity. It was her breakout role. She got more acting after that. But like, that's what all these actresses are doing. Like, you would think maybe she would agree in this new model to the $3,000, $5,000, but then she became a star. The movie broke out, did incredibly well. She'd make more money. She didn't make any more money. Like, you know, the studios are like, you just signed a bad deal.
Well, I do think when it came to her though, like, you have some actors who just shine in the moment. And I think that her management team knew that she was going to be a star if she continued this. There's no one in that world right now. So unless you're a part of like the first, second tier, you're not going to go to the premiere. I think she only had like 3 scenes. Maybe she was a part of like a lower tier of the actors, but she wasn't like, you know, like John Hamm was the second tier. I don't know if she was, you know, I just don't know what the scale was, but it was smart for her to do that because it put her in a position to look like, you know, in the future, all these roles, I'll jump into it. But it's also, that's a piece of it. Like, if you want, there's other actors who didn't do that, like who have shined in other roles, who were like, hey, that was just me in that role and the next role. But I felt like that was a good decision. But I hate when people say things like that and they're like, I got paid negative. I'm like, but that's the investment of doing what you want to do. There was years that I didn't get paid. Derek didn't get paid. Cameron didn't get paid. It's like paying your dues, but at the same time, you know, you're investing in yourself for the future. So I could understand it. I think that talking about it in a way that makes it feel like, how dare you, is like, that's not the price that you paid. You knew what you were getting into, you know?
But for then, like, Bridesmaids to go make $400 million and she didn't see any back end at all, this structure would kind of fix that problem. So it could
I wonder what they'd be getting, like point percentages.
Yeah, I don't know.
Only really the stars do. Like, the stars get the percentage.
It's a rough proposal. Like, it's not like an affirm, you know, thing. They're just talking about it. So interesting.
I remember when Jack Nicholson, the Batman, remember that? He got all toys. I think he made $500 million from Batman. And because he's such a Lakers fan, he had to get a custom plane, a private plane to fly him from London to LA to catch every game as a part of his contract. Jack Nicholson, he made $500 million because of all the merch. He got a percentage of the movie. He literally changed the contract world when he did that role. So go get your money, baby.
I mean, it's similar to like George Lucas. He was like barely starting out in the 70s when he did Star Wars, and it was such a risky movie and it was expensive. He decided to take no director, producer pay. He said, just give me merch. And the studio's like, okay, you can have merch. I mean, we're just thinking about ticket sales. And, you know, obviously he made his billions on merch.
Gosh, that's incredible. That's incredible. I love stuff like that. The juice was worth the squeeze, baby.
Yeah, he had a vision that the studio did not. So he saw it. Anyway, all right, well, that'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com for more stories covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. All right, stay tuned. Up next, Cuba Gooding Jr. shows us the money. I can't believe I did that. You're listening to Ginger Root. The song is No Problems. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Company of Saints. If you're looking for an original sound in Christian music, revitalize your playlist with Company of Saints' new album, Philosophers and Poets, a genre-blending fusion of Christian electronic vibes. Explore the depths of faith, philosophy, and poetry through thought-provoking words and melodies. It's not just music, it's a journey of self-discovery and spiritual connection. Stream it now on your favorite platforms and experience a fresh take on Christian music. Find out what fans of Company of Saints love about this hidden gem. Well, our guest today is Cuba Gooding Jr. He's an Academy Award-winning actor who you know from movies like Jerry Maguire and Radio. Well, this summer, late in the summer, he's starring in a new faith-based film called The Firing Squad. We sat down with Cuba to hear more about how the film impacted his own faith journey and how Hollywood's relationship with Christian content is changing. Here's our conversation with Cuba Gooding Jr.
So you're in a new movie coming out this summer called The Firing Squad, which is an inspirational faith-based film. Why do you think audiences should go see this movie?
You know, we all have a page, my grandfather used to say. My buddy got fired. Another friend of mine just got diagnosed with cancer diagnosis, and he doesn't have much left. Everybody's got their own page. But we all need to remember that there is a higher power working with us. He's with us. And if we just tap into it, every day I pray God's will be done, we can find the strength to make it through anything. And I think, this is the reason why we go to movies. We go because we sit for that 2 hours and we see somebody who has something just a little harder than what we're dealing with. And we go, well, if they can deal with that, I know I can deal with what I'm dealing with in my life. And here you have three individuals who are paying the ultimate sacrifice, and yet they still hold on to their faith and they find peace. And I think if we can make one person leave that theater feeling that way, then we did our job.
Yeah, I totally agree that movies have this really interesting power to inspire us. I'm sure we can both think of movies that have done that for us over the years.
Yeah.
What is a recent movie that you were inspired by or re-energized by, like you were saying?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I study film because that's what I do as an actor, right? And I like to find emerging filmmakers. And I think the movie that affected me the most recently would probably be Dune, only because when he overcame all that, no one had faith in that kid to be the one that could help that nation of people. And I remember when he was riding on that worm, just the tears are going down, because it's like we all have been underestimated. We all have been counted out. I know I have in my life, in my career. And it's themes like that hit me so strongly lately, like when I see them in movies. And I think Firing Squad has that moment for people. They ask me, what's it about? And I say, it's like if you saw Dead Men Walking, if you saw Shawshank Redemption, if you saw any of these movies where you have these people who are caught in this scenario, maybe they're guilty, maybe they're not, but they have to find faith in the most darkest place. And I think that's what these three men went through with our movie. I think when you experience it, it gives you that emotional release. We've had, I don't know how many screenings now, over 2-3 dozen screenings, and every single one, people come out weeping, and they say that last scene where they find in that moment to vocalize their appreciation of life is just something that moves people. So I hope that people can connect with that way. That would be wonderful.
It sounds like this movie had a really big impact on you. What was your view of faith before this film, and how did it change throughout the project?
Yeah. See, I grew up Christian. My Miss McCraven in the 80s was a woman who you would let all the kids come to her house and play. And she had games and she had candy and all this stuff, but you had to read a Bible verse. And my mom one day came down because I hadn't come home in time and gave her life to the Lord when she met Miss McCraven. So I've been on a walk with him since I was, 13, 12, 11. But, I'm in a secular town, and I'm an actor who does, these light roles and these dark roles. I played OJ. I played, from OJ to Ben Carson to Nikki Barnes. I've done everything. And each role kind of implants a little scar tissue on your soul. I believe that. That's how a lot of these actors, when you're doing a scene, an emotional scene, and tears are coming out, and your body doesn't know you're not grieving. And your body thinks you're really going through mourning. So when you go through that experience, you never really let go of it. But it's been my faith that has reminded me that I'm God's warrior. I'm doing His will. Even in the darkest roles, I'm projecting my ability to reflect the truth of the moment so that people can see that and find healing. And it's gotten me where I am today, and it's something that I hang on to every day.
You know, faith and Hollywood are kind of at an interesting moment right now. And having grown up in Hollywood, I'm sure you've seen this. So I'd love to know from your perspective, how do you feel like Hollywood's changing when it comes to faith-based content?
Well, it's a really good question, and I analyze this stuff. I mean, I read all the trades. I follow any article that talks about any ancillary market, be it the, streaming with the platforms or the theatrical distribution markets and foreign markets and whatnot. And the one pattern that is true, there's a couple of patterns that I've followed when it comes to domestic distribution. Or theatrical distribution is that if it's a spectacle, then people are going to flock to come to it. But the other sector that they forget about in Hollywood is that the Christian faith-based community follow their movies. If they feel that there's a message. And I started looking and I don't know, what's the psychology behind that? And I believe it's because Christians go to church every Sunday. And when they sit and they hear the word of God, the pastor mentions a movie that's coming out, they go. It's almost like an assignment to them. And so Hollywood, to answer your question more specifically, I think Hollywood loves to capitalize on the financial aspects of anything. That's why they will implode the theatrical experience if it means that they're going to make more money in streaming. But they can't deny this sector of people who go to the movie theaters and support their faith-based movies. So when Hollywood thinks there's money there, that's when they'll take it. And even, you look at this whole Barbenheimer with Barbie and Oppenheimer, and it made $1 billion, and yet nobody talked about the third movie that opened and made over $100 million, and that was Sound of Freedom. Because Hollywood's like, yeah, it's a fluke. Is it a fluke, or was it the Christian community coming to answering the bell? And I think there's starting to be that shift, because a lot of these movies, especially when you're talking about $50, $60, $80 million productions, and they finish the movie and it's a good movie, and then it goes to a streamer. And no one ever thinks to put it to the theatrical because it's too much of a gamble. So now you have this new sector of faith-based movies that people are actually going to the theaters because they're following the story. And I think Hollywood has had to sit up and say and notice. And I think I think the shift is happening.
Well, I got to ask, what's next for you? Are you planning on pursuing more faith-based films?
Oh, sure. It's like anything. I wait for my next assignment. I can tell you, I do have a few faith-based films in the hopper. I have an action film coming up next. Angels Have Fallen, Warriors of Peace. But I'll come back and talk about that one. Yeah, wouldn't it be great if they did like Moses again, or one of those big biblical movies? That'd be awesome.
I love that. And I'm with you. I think it's time for another biblical epic. Now, I got to ask this. If you could play any biblical character in a film, who would you choose?
Oh, interesting. That's a good question. My mom always, since I was in elementary school, called me Young David. Young David. She said, you came out of the womb with your fist balled up. And she goes, you've always had more energy than anybody around you. And David was a warrior who fought for God. And he would, after his battles, he'd come and they'd celebrate a victory. And he'd take his clothes off and dance down the middle of the streets. Did you not know that? David and Goliath, they never knew that. He's a great warrior, great warrior. Something like that would be awesome.
That was Cuba Gooding Jr. Make sure to keep your eye out for The Firing Squad, which releases later this summer. Okay, stay tuned. Up next, it's How Well Do You Know Your Lyrics? You're listening to Zahara. The song is Wish You Would Notice. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org. Okay, I told you at the beginning of the show about this game. It's called How Well Do You Know Your Lyrics?
How well do you remember your lyrics?
There you go.
Amazing.
How well do you remember your lyrics? All right,
How
so
well do you remember your lyrics?
I have clips loaded up, 6 of them each.
Okay.
And I have the correct lyrics in front of me.
Okay.
I went and wrote these down by hand. I'm ready. I am ready.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
So we're just going to go back and forth and we're going to see who knows your lyrics better. Derek, we're starting with you.
Yes.
Here is the song.
Revenge. Revenge. Yeah, revenge. I'm just trying to get you out them chains, dog. I'm just trying to show you what this fame costs.
I just trying to tell you what this says, does. I don't mean a thing, dog. I don't know it, bro.
The same people preaching God said, give us money when your rent due. They won't do a thing, dog. That's the line.
That's
Good
amazing.
line. That's a good line.
It's freak.
0 points for Derek.
0 points
Marty.
for me.
Here we go, Marty.
Okay.
Nobody cares how you feeling, they just wanna hear some raps. Don't play this in the club, I don't wanna see you. They not independent, that's an industry plant.
They're not independent, they an industry plant. Please don't come around looking for some daps.
Close. And please don't come around me if you're looking for some daps. I'll give it to you. That's
My
good.
comment section too wild. I need to repent. Yeah, I actually wrote that in the studio with Derek. Right
Yes,
there.
I made that beat.
Yeah.
There
you
you
go.
Cheeto, that's crazy.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
love
I've heard that song in
joint.
years. Wow.
It is God Got My Back by Marty. And then the first
No,
one.
that song is Presidential Freestyle.
What? Hold
I
on.
just came through it out of misfits looking presidential.
Yeah. That was a part of a very struggling record that
I got Presidential
Went through a
Freestyle as
lot.
a separate one.
that one's Presidential Freestyle.
That's definitely presidential freestyle because I made the beat on that one. Me and Chino.
I'm wondering if I mislabeled it. Oh, crud.
I
I
don't
had
wanna
the
see
song
you
on there
dance.
twice. Freaking A. That is Presidential Freestyle. The first one was supposed to be Guy Who Got My Back. Dadgummit. Hold on. Okay. All right. After one round, it's Marty 1 and Derek 0. Here we go, Derek. You're up.
I know I brag a lot, but I do it for all of y'all to see that God can do it for you, because I know he did it for me. This the first year that somebody ain't been sleeping on my couch.
And I did it all for free. Hold on. It's the first year that somebody ain't been sleeping on my couch. I do it all for free.
Trying to get up on their feet. I
Trying
did
to
it
get
all
up
for
on my
free.
feet, I do it all. Dang it.
The song is Some Mud featuring Derek Minor featuring Propaganda, The Beat Breaker, Theory Has It, and Crumb. Derek.
If that wasn't a remix, the beat would have triggered the right thing.
All right, Marty, you're up. Here we go. Here's the funny thing is, I know that Derek doesn't remember his own lyrics.
He doesn't.
I knew it was going to happen.
He's like, wait a second. When did I do that again?
Here you go.
Oh my God.
It's a good song, too. All right.
Being dramatic, she said she a diva, you being sarcastic.
Oh my God, he just dropped this 3 days
I got a whole
ago.
bunch of classics I need to drop. I tried to God, he told me what's up. I don't need luck, no fingers crossed. Yeah.
Marty, I love this song too, bro.
The bottom too crowded. Yeah, that came out last month. The bottom too crowded, the higher I go, the less I see talent. They're hiding the rope. The
That's
prettiest
it.
people.
You got it, dude. Golf
are
course
depressed the
meeting.
most. Yeah.
That
Golf
song
course
is
meeting.
crazy. You and Gavin went nuts on that.
Yeah, Gavin's
one, bro.
dope, man. He
crazy.
retired and like unretired in a month. It was amazing.
Oh,
He's like, I'm no longer doing it. And then he's like, I like doing music. I was like, all right. There you go.
All right, Derek, here you go. You want me to tell you the song first so you can get in the right mindset? All right, here we go. Here it is, Derek.
God, made sense we built the Tower of Babel to go and kill God so anybody can get it. 40 caliber lifted. Please invest in the best and pray to God you don't need it. A
Young man in his 20s walked in the bank, took 4 souls away.
Ain't even opened the safe.
Ain't even opened the safe. My bad.
I'm giving it to you. You got 3/4 of it.
I get the mercy.
It's a pity point. You got a pity point right there.
The pity points.
All right. Marty, you got 2. He's got 1. Here you go, Marty, third one.
R.I.P. to my exes. There's only one key to my heart, and you're the only one who has access. And I love you, girl.
Together we're nothing but trouble, girl. And I wrote this song and I was thinking of you, girl, I think I said.
Together we're nothing but trouble, girl. You got the next line right. And then it says, and before you leave, I wrote a song and I was thinking of you, girl. Yeah. You got it. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. The
one
song
where she
is
stayed.
the one where she stayed. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
After 3 rounds, Marty's got 3 with 2
Yikes.
kind of like halfways, but
Yeah,
3.
like one, yeah.
And Derek got 1 pity point. All right, here we go. We're doing 5, so here's
It's
4.
our own catalog, and we're like,
I know, it's great, including songs you put out like a month
watching
ago.
us suffer over here.
Nah, this is not good.
All right, Derek, here you go. Your 4th one.
busting at the bendo. My flow Iron Man.
Iron Man at 56, I finna snap out. I don't really care about no opinion from no rando. I've been trying to stop my dog from walking down their hood like Rambo.
Yeah, you got it. There it is.
There we go. I got one.
Yeah, nailed it. The song was Only. The song is Only.
Let's get it.
Now, I did go pretty deep in Derek's catalog. Like, I mean, he's got hundreds of songs.
Yeah, I mean, he's been
I was
doing it.
deep in it. I was
opening up for him.
Since I stayed out of the Social Club catalog, the Marty catalog isn't as deep. There's, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway. All right, here we go. Marty, here's your next one.
Is it wrong that I like when you spicy, mama? Knew you were the one like the light shined on ya. People we don't like reaching out to me, asking how my life is gone, but I don't care to tell them. It ain't none of your business, you know.
You know, I don't care to tell him. It's none of your business. You know, I like to push your buttons. I keep testing the limits. My beige flag is I'll forget your name immediately.
Song is Yell at Me.
Yell at me, baby. Yell
There
at
you
me.
go. Got it. 4.
Hard.
All right,
These are
last
hard.
one. Derek, here we go. Last one.
How they bring kids as slaves, get dope across ocean tides, or borderlines, or county lines. I'm stuck. Now black men are mascots for hell on earth.
Tookie started the Crips and told us on your turf, so now we in a pen of the block for survival.
Yeah.
But either way, we blue devils.
You got it. Black Market's the song. You got it. All
I
right,
like how Derek's songs are all like deep and stuff, and I'm like, my beige flag is I'll forget your name, you know, like.
And like, girl, I like it when you yell at me, and
yeah,
let's play golf.
It means we love. Yeah, it means we love each other. I don't know.
This one you guys will both recognize, but Marty, this is yours. Here we go.
Here we go.
We're asking me for J. Cole beats, you not J. Cole. I'm running the plays like a coach. I'm holding a fish in the back of the yacht. Got a pose.
I gotta go like a Moses, which just it went over a lot of people's head. Yeah,
Bro,
stuttering.
but that is such a
Bar. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got go Moses.
Go like a Moses. Go like a Moses. Before you leave, before we go and bury you, I had to give you your roses.
Yeah. Before you go and they bury you, I had to bring you some roses.
Hard. It's hard because it's starting at the in the middle of the song. It's like almost like you have to rev yourself up to get towards the end.
Right. Yeah. All right,
That's
Marty,
amazing.
you got 5. Most of 5. Derek, you got 3. Derek, you did better than I thought you would, man. Like,
that's hilarious.
Because I know you don't remember his own lyrics. Okay, what do you guys do when you do a show? Do you have to you write down a cheat sheet somewhere, or do you just pick songs you know?
I practice. I practice ahead of time, but for the most part, I'm at the point now in my career where I don't write anymore. Everything is I don't write anything. I freestyle everything, or I punch it in halfway through it and then redo it at the end. But I don't. And then I know Derek is too. Like we do so much volume now, being independent, that it's like this week I made 4 songs. So I'm like, it's hard to forget what you said and what you didn't. And then you're doing syncs and stuff. And then you're like, what did I say in that world? It gets really confusing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It gets very confusing.
I make so much music in a week that it just all begins to blend together.
Yeah,
so when I do live shows, I have everything programmed to the T, and I rehearse it like the show. So I don't necessarily have to know all the parts of the song. I just have to know the parts I'm performing. And then I know what songs are going to come from like encores or whatever if I have to do that. But every piece is planned out.
So somebody like totally different lane, but like John Foreman from Switchfoot, right? Like he'll famously like do a show, they've been making music for 25 years. And he'll go do a show or whatever. And then after the show, or sometimes just like he'll come back out as an encore or whatever, he'll just do crowd work and he'll have his guitar on him and he'll just say, what do y'all want to hear? And he'll just do improv. Anything. They're like, what do y'all want me to, because people will come like long-term fans and be like, oh, he didn't sing my favorite song. And so like they'll shout out like songs and be like, all right, I'll do that one. And he'll just like do stuff from deep in the catalog that the crowd wants to hear. So you're saying you guys can't really probably do that.
I do that. I do that actually. Yeah. Like we have every song that we have is on. The only problem, I think Derek can agree. The only problem is when they want you to go very far back. You're like, oh, like there's certain songs that like I don't even have the performance master, because when we wrote this song, we didn't even know what a performance master was. And so we would perform on top of our talking. It was a weird time. And then around 2015, we're like, we can't do that anymore. And so I don't even have the stems of like half of the music that I released before I got signed. So. Wow.
Yeah. For me, it just depends. If I have it, there's certain songs that I know that I'm like, okay, this is probably, people are going to be mad I don't do this, but I just don't have the time to fit it in. Yeah. So then I'll have that available for if, I get more time. I'll say, y'all remember this, and drop something like that. But not every song. I make too much music, bro. Like, and
then not every song works too. That's another thing. Like they want you to do like the other day, someone's like, you did a song. I'm like, it is such a slow song. Why would you want that song to be? I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, people want me to rap Dear Mr. Christian live, and I'm like, I just don't even understand why you want to hear that live. Like,
I always get grinding, do grinding. I'm like, I haven't even heard this. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't heard that song in like 5 years. So I'm gonna be like, wow.
This is why I wanted to do this, because this is so fascinating. Because I know this about y'all, but like your fans don't.
Yeah,
your fans know all your lyrics. Your fans are like, they think you know your music the way they know your music, but they don't realize that you're dealing with 10 times more music than they know. That you have so much in your head.
And then we're writing for others too. So that's another hat. Like I've written for a lot of artists, a lot of Christian rappers and mainstream. I did a couple mainstream sessions the other day, and the artist was like, how would you do this? And
didn't you just write on the Drake disc?
No, I didn't get that one. But I did get another. I heard
Drake didn't write any of his own lyrics. I assumed that you were.
What is it? The braids?
That's what it was. The braids. That was my line. No, there's a one artist that's a really top 10 type guy. We were doing sessions for him, and we're like doing Zoom sessions, and he's in another part of LA. And he's like, how would you say this? And so there are times where we're trying to pretend that we're that person, and that's weird to do. So
yeah, I don't think your fans realize you have all these lyrics in your head. It's not just.
We don't even know what we're saying half. I really don't even know what I'm saying half the time. Yeah,
that's so funny. All right, well that'll do it for.
How well do you remember your lyrics?
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Cuba Gooding Jr. for joining us today. Make sure to check out The Firing Squad when it hits theaters later this summer. Also, make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com. Every weekday, we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. Get our daily newsletter for all the best content right in your inbox. So much happening. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Marty.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Relevant Podcast Network.